now. Ben, you are good to start.
All right. I am so excited to welcome you all to this conference, which is our second Future of Work Initiative Summit focused on accelerating AI and data automation. I'd like to welcome the more than 800 people who have registered to be a part of this conference, with more signing on as we go live. With this conference, we are bringing together national thought leaders in AI and data automation from across sectors, regional organizations who are at the cutting edge of innovation, and service providers and educators who are essential to making that innovation happen from an industry and a workforce perspective now and in the future. Before we begin with our first keynote, I would be remiss if I did not do a couple of thank yous. First, in terms of getting this conference organized and off the ground, an incredible shout out to Ali Goldberg from Aristify Consulting, who managed wrangling the more than 50 speakers on 3 continents with all of the attendant tech checks, media, and social media outreach. David Ertel from the Microsoft Cincinnati team. I know your day job is helping organizations to understand how to deploy technology into their operations, and I cannot express enough the gratitude we have to you and your team of 15 plus people who are helping to manage the sessions on Teams today. Our media partner, Flyover Future, lives and breathes highlighting innovation across our region every day, and you have been such a powerful voice for what is happening here. If anyone attending is not yet signed up for the Flyover Future newsletter, I encourage you to go do so today. Of course, our biggest shout outs have to go out to our partners at Microsoft, particularly Lena Fang and Ramel Mitchell, Joanne Harrell, Jackie Wright, and Gretchen O'Hara. Without your investment and confidence in the ability to change the course of this region, we would not be able to make the incredible progress that we are making as a community. Additionally, thank you so much to Humana, particularly Roger Cude, Kenny Winchester Brown, and Katie Giles. You have been essential, wonderful partners to us. This entire project would not be possible without our team from Louisville Metro Government, Mary Ellen Wiederwall, Grace Simmerall, Rebecca Flyshaker, and most especially Eric Burnett. Your passion and ingenuity have made this possible. And finally, to the Future of Work team, Alicia McLean, Rachel Johnson, and Jade Brown. It has been an incredible honor to be a part of this journey with you. Alicia, you have become the face of Techquity in our community, and more than that, you are bringing along the faces that we want to see as part of this journey as a community, as we strive to be at the cutting edge of what happens next in the AI revolution. With that, I want to hand it over to Mayor Greg Fischer. Mayor Fischer's commitment to building a city of lifelong learning with a focus on data has been at the heart of this work from the very beginning. So with that, Mayor Fischer. And if he's not on, then I will do my best Mayor Fischer impersonation, since I do have a copy of his speech.
Not seeing him on yet, Ben.
Well,
the mayor's office is having technical difficulties. Please move ahead.
All right. Well, I think one of the things that is really exciting about the possibilities of AI is that it gives us the opportunity to really leapfrog the traditional systems of building tech innovation that have in many ways marginalized essential parts of our community. When technological innovation is driven by engineers who are brought up through an education system that has systematically marginalized women, marginalized people from minority communities, then of course the innovation that's driven is going to be driven by those people's priorities. So it's why we have Slack, which is essentially an over-engineered AOL instant messenger. And yet we still don't have meaningful ways for waiters and waitresses to shift shifts online. And that's at the heart of what accelerating AI and data automation is about. And the Future of Work initiative is focused on broadening the pipeline of people who have access to the tools that they need to really innovate going forward. So as we look to what's going to happen over the course of the next couple of hours and tomorrow, what we're going to be doing is hearing from national thought leaders and international thought leaders. I'd like to welcome our friends from Germany and the UK and India, I think I'm seeing, to joining us for an event that is being hosted out of Story, Louisville, in Louisville, Kentucky. And part of what is particularly exciting to me is that by enabling folks to get access to these technologies outside of the traditional education systems, as well as in partnership with traditional education systems, we have the capacity to empower a whole new set of folks. We have the capacity to change the complexion of the workforce that is driving the future of innovation through industry recognized credentials, through on-the-job training. We really have an opportunity to bring new voices. And that's not just a matter of social justice. It's a matter of getting the most innovation into our economic system. One of the things that's particularly interesting to me as we have worked through how this work is going to be embedded in companies and organizations all across our ecosystem is that it is not just about these it's not just about these credentials. It's about empowering nurses to understand what's happening on their floors. It's empowering discharge managers to be able to predict who's going to need their services. It's about enabling nonprofits to connect with one another seamlessly so that we're not sending our most vulnerable citizens chasing down the resources that they need. So I think I see Mayor Fischer logged on now. Maybe not.
The mayor's on. I'm going to send him live in 1 second, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Ben, sorry about that, man.
Hey, no problem. All I did was introduce the initiative and introduce you by saying that it is your commitment to building a community of lifelong learning with a relentless focus on data that has been at the heart of this work from the very beginning. And I thanked Alicia and the team that she has built and is building.
All right.
And I am handing it over to you.
Okay, sorry, everybody. We've all been there with the technical difficulties, so puts more pressure to make this a great speech. So I really appreciate everybody coming together. A lot has happened since we got together the last time when we held this event in person at the Kentucky International Convention Center. More than 1,000 people came out to talk about artificial intelligence and the future of work. It was an amazing community conversation about the need for equity in addition to generating more economic growth here in the great city of Louisville through things like AI and IoT and data science. And that was February 25th. And I think it's safe to say it was probably the last, the last person event that most of us have been at in terms of a big event in the last 14 months. And boy, has the world changed since then. And while we're all eager to look ahead to the prospect of safely attending large-scale events in person again, let's reflect a little bit on the valuable lessons that we've learned over the last year about the future of work in our city and beyond, because a couple things have been really clarified over the past year, but one of them in particular is there's not going back to like a old normal, if you will, how we lived in 2019 and how we lived in early 2020. So even when COVID's gone and the mask can come off, which hopefully will be soon, things have got to change. The reality is that the economy has changed. Some jobs will not come back. Some jobs will come back, but some of the people doing those jobs won't be coming back to a physical office or even to a city where those jobs were once located. And then there's also going to be a lot of new jobs being created. So there's a lot of opportunity at the same time. So here in our city of Louisville, where we pride ourselves on leaning into the future, we got to do everything that we can, obviously, to take advantage of this moment in time relative to technology and society and the economy. We got to focus on what we can control, not complain about things outside of our control, and how we can use our resources, time, energy, money, and partnerships to lift our city up. All of the people of our city with a mind on focus, laser focused on equity, and think about the institutions and the businesses and how we can all thrive in the coming years. So this is like a really good time to reflect on why we started the Future of Work Initiative in the first place in partnership with Microsoft in June of 2019. We wanted to create a lot more jobs in the data economy, and jobs that pay family supporting wages in particular, and do that work with a clear focus on reversing the marginalization of people of color and women in the tech industry. We know these have been traditional challenges for tech. So when the pandemic hit, we realized that we just could not pause or slow down. In fact, we had to speed up, especially because so many people had been hit by this pandemic, and so they were unemployed or they were underemployed, and we wanted to use that opportunity to raise awareness for the new digital world and the online credentialing that could take place in the data economy. So in the early days of the pandemic, we launched a laptop giveaway to draw interest to what we were doing. And if you lived in the city and you earned an online data credential and you send us that proof, we would enter you into a laptop raffle. Everybody likes to win free things, and we did that every workday for a month. We had an incredibly almost 4,500 people interested in learning more. 1,600 people filled out a survey, and of those people, they were about 50% women, 20% African American, which is definitely higher than the average for the tech industry, and about the same proportion as our population as a whole here in Louisville. So we were pleased by that, and we were extremely encouraged. As we all know, racial equity, gender equity has been a traditional problem, a very deep problem for the tech industry for quite some time. So it's been a focus of our Future of Work efforts, as it has been as my administration as whole, to get more equity in our program called Tequity. And so we know still we got a lot more to do. And so our work to scale up outreach in 2020, then when we were into the pandemic, was really emphasized, accentuated by the urgency around the tragic deaths of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor in our home city, George Floyd, and too many others. Really sparked a generational movement and a call for racial justice and equity. And the statistics make the case all by themselves when you get beyond the human tragedy. Let's say, for instance, Breonna and her family and friends here in Louisville. But the stats are sobering. Louisville statistics are America's statistics. So it's not like we're an outlier. This is a national problem. Black Louisvillians earn a median of $10,000 less than white Louisvillians. Black Louisvillians earn less in every industry at every level of education. So, I mean, you can't brush that away in America, in Louisville. It's no other explanation other than just systemic, institutionalized racism. These are systems we have to change, and now is the time to do that in the history of our city, in the history of our economy. We do have an economy that's both evolving, but that also needs reimagining and rebuilding. We're fortunate to have an administration in the White House that supports equity and is walking the talk. They've passed the American Rescue Plan that will provide our city and others with a lot of resources that are much needed to beat the pandemic and rebuild the economy. The American Jobs Plan is a future-focused plan that can help us dramatically create jobs of the future, compete with China, as well as address our infrastructure needs, including ubiquitous broadband. So hopefully if we get this jobs plan, American Jobs Plan passed through Congress, more help is on the way, and it's needed. There's also more will and more energy and more focus on the subject of equity in our city than I've think it's fair to say, in our city's history. You see GLI's efforts on racial equity, Brown-Forman, Humana, Yum, Thornton's. There's countless others that will be taking a pledge here that are stepping up and making commitments to advance the cause of racial equity. So our job is to find ways to further integrate technology work with the equity work. And one of the reasons we started the Future of Work initiative was because of our determination to use AI for good. So we have the technology that can do incredible and unprecedented things. Let's use it to tackle some of our biggest challenges, like the social determinants of health, the opioid crisis, poverty, equity, and more. And so while we're doing that, we want to create more pathways of technology for skill development in 21st century careers. And we're doing that because I see talent throughout all parts of the community, but opportunity and access are not there. We got to bring our young people along to do that. And that's why the Future of Work initiative in its first year created new data training pathways to get that done. Upskilling initiative alongside Humana. They've been great partners in this work. Thank you, Humana. We've engaged more than 500 people so far in this effort, hosted dozens of community meetups, and awarded $200,000+ to local Black-led nonprofits to step up new data training pathways with an equity focus. The Future of Work has also recently launched the Butterfly Project as a partnership between Muhammad Ali's High School, Central High School, Bellarmine University, and a Path Forward. And then Future Work is also working with our local HBCU, Simmons College, to create more opportunities. JCPS, we're creating a data analytics pathway with them. And we're working with Brookings Institution on a lot of our AI reported work. And Brookings just put out a report about AI in our community just yesterday. And I encourage everybody to read that report. It reaffirms that we're doing the right things, but we've got to do more of it. And we're a city that's competing with many other cities that are also throwing a lot of their resources at it as well. But our goal is to be a super regional AI hub in this data economy, and we can do it as we work together. So we know the future of work is going to look different than the history of work. And the question is, how much will we shape that future intentionally? I think we can do a great deal. We got to build on what we've been doing, but we got to do more and we got to go faster. And that's really the purpose of this conference, to bring all of this together to make sure we've got the right type of inclusive growth and opportunity for everybody in our city. It's imperative that we do that. We got to double down on the vision for equity in the workforce, AI economy. We got to focus on every way that we can do that. Programs like BIT 502 is the Learn and Earn Tech Apprenticeship effort through Kentuckiana Works, as well as Code Louisville. So there's a lot of ways that we can do this and take advantage of our unique advantages like our wellness and aging care industry, pull all this stuff together, produce national and global center of excellence as we do this. So this is how we're going to make transformational progress in the city. And we're in a rare moment where technology, society, and the economy are all in flux at the same time. Great opportunity. It's a challenge, but it presents opportunity. And so we'll get there by working together, commit to working together even more closely than we ever have before, and think bigger and bolder as well. So let's go big. Let's embrace innovation and compassion and do the greatest good for the greatest number of people we possibly can. And when we do that, we can't go wrong. So thanks everybody for putting together this Future of Work Summit and the continued progress that we've got going on in our community. So appreciate the opportunity to say hello.
Thank you, Mayor Fischer. We appreciate you and your leadership here. If you all will go ahead and you can find the links to the other rooms that have already opened, and we look forward to an exciting day. Thank you.
Okay, good morning.